सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम। Readings from Meditation and Spiritual Life, Chapter 18, The Path of Yoga-Vedanta Synthesis. Before I begin, I would like to refer to some passages from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna relevant to our theme. Master, you are talking of worshipping the clay image. Even if the image is of clay, there is need for that sort of worship. God Himself has provided different forms of worship. He, who is the Lord of the universe, has arranged all these forms to suit different men in different stages of knowledge. M. Humbly. How, sir? May we fix our minds on God? Master. Repeat God's name and sing His glories, and keep holy company, and now and then visit God's devotees and holy men. The mind cannot dwell on God if it is immersed day and night in worldliness, in worldly duties and responsibilities. It is most necessary to go into solitude now and then and think of God. To fix the mind on God is very difficult in the beginning unless one practices meditation in solitude. When a tree is young, it should be fenced all around, otherwise it may be destroyed by cattle. To meditate, you should withdraw within yourself or retire to a secluded corner or to the forest. And you should always discriminate between the real and the unreal. God alone is real, the eternal substance. All else is unreal, that is impermanent. By discriminating thus, one should shake off impermanent objects from the mind. M. Humbly. How ought we to live in the world? Master. Do all your duties, but keep your mind on God. Live with all, with wife and children, father and mother, and serve them. Treat them as if they were very dear to you, but know in your heart of hearts that they do not belong to you. M. Is it possible to see God? Master. Yes, certainly. Living in solitude now and then, repeating God's name and singing His glories, and discriminating between the real and the unreal, these are the means to employ to see Him. In the above passage, Sri Ramakrishna has given the essentials of the path of synthesis of yoga and Vedanta, of devotion and knowledge, and of work and worship. This is the path best suited to the modern age. Worship, prayer, meditation, discrimination, service, all have a place in this path. The path of self-analysis called Jnana Yoga can be practiced successfully only by a select few. For all the rest, the synthetic method is the easiest. It was this integral path that we learned at the feet of the great direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Our next point is need for preliminary discipline. The great ones first of all taught us the prime importance of moral life, which should go hand in hand with spiritual discipline. As in our worldly affairs, so also in the world of the spirit, there must be systematic practice. We must be able to prepare ourselves so that we may in the proper mood follow the spiritual path. Sri Ramakrishna had a great disciple, Saint Durgacharan Nag. Nag Mahasai, as he used to be called. His father was very much attached to him, but the old man used to do a lot of japa. Once, when he was told, "Your father is a great devotee," Nag Mahasai replied, "What can he achieve? He is much attached to me. An anchored boat does not move. There is a story behind this saying. One moonlit night, some drunken men took it into their heads to go on a boat ride. They went to the ghat, hired a boat, sat at the oars and started rowing. They rowed and rowed the whole night. Early in the morning, when the effect of drink had gone, they found to their surprise that they had not moved an inch. What is the matter? What is the matter? They asked one another. They had forgotten to raise the anchor. I hear constant complaints from people. We are doing our spiritual practice, but we do not make any progress. The reply is here. At the time of your spiritual practice, are you able, at least to some extent, to free your mind from worldly matters and give your purified mind to God? That is the point. We need training in all paths. Some of you might have read Swami Vivekananda's books Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Raja Yoga. Whatever path one may follow, one needs discipline, proper training of the mind, and creation of the proper mood. If the mind is trained and the mood is created, one can carry on one's spiritual practice with great success. Our trouble is, in worldly matters we may be methodical, but in spiritual affairs we are sloppy and impulsive like children. I have seen grown-up people and big officials often talking like children. First of all, a mature inner personality is to be built up. Many of us are persons but have no personality. We are individuals but have no individuality. Through moral practice, through the discharging of duties, through regular worship, a spiritualized personality is to be built up. It is only then that our spiritual practice becomes fruitful. Our japa and meditation will then prove to be a source of great blessing. I repeat, in all the paths, in all the yogas, a strict discipline is necessary. If I follow Karma Yoga, my mind must be completely calm. I must try to be detached from the things of the world and from the fruits of karma. If I follow Bhakti Yoga, I must have the attitude of total self-surrender to the divine. Further, there must be great yearning for God, a spiritual hunger that cannot be appeased by anything of the world. Through prayer, through japa, through meditation, and ultimately through divine contact, this spiritual seeker appeases this spiritual hunger and finds supreme peace and bliss in divine realization. Many want to follow Jnana Yoga, but the mind is to be trained so that it can follow the path of extreme self-analysis. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the ego or the senses, I am the spirit. For this, the teachers of Jnana Yoga insist on certain preliminary qualifications. The aspirant must have perfect disposition for enjoyment in this and future lives, and must have the capacity to discriminate between the permanent and the impermanent. Further, he must have great self-control, Shraddha in the Supreme Spirit, forbearance, and must be able to practice concentration. Finally, he must have intense longing for liberation. Many people say, "Oh, I am not able to practice concentration." Knowing the persons that their minds are not pure enough, I say to them, it is good that you don't have concentration. If an impure mind gets concentrated, it becomes like a bombshell. Are not we concentrated when we are angry, when we are full of hatred and jealousy? That concentration is no good. It is actually dangerous. So, an amount of preliminary spiritual discipline is necessary. The path of yoga, according to Patanjali, consists of 8 steps or disciplines. You have to practice these disciplines systematically. One cannot get established in spiritual life all of a sudden. Our next point is have yearning for God. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the Master again and again says, you must have spiritual yearning. Spiritual yearning is like hunger. When people ask me, why should I meditate? I say in return, why should you? Don't do it. If you had the yearning in you, you would not have asked that foolish question. When you come to have that true spiritual hunger, you cannot but think of God. You cannot but pray to Him. You cannot but take His name and think of His glory. This hunger is to be awakened. This hunger is to be maintained. That becomes possible if you do your spiritual practice regularly. You feed the body with material food. You feed the mind through study with ideas. But you actually starve the soul in the midst of plenty. Do you not feel starved? The soul yearns for the infinite spirit. It yearns to realize the infinite presence, divine love and bliss. And we do not satisfy this yearning. But when we attempt to do that, a new life starts for us. The Master has also said that holy company is necessary, the company of those who are following the spiritual path, who help in strengthening us in the spiritual path, who reflect something of the divine glory and teach us by their own personal example. Above all, in their company, we develop yearning for God. Here you come across a big problem. It is the impure mind that runs after the things of the world. The pure mind naturally reflects the glory of God, moves towards Him, meditates on Him, tries to feel His divine presence, love and bliss. How to purify the mind? First of all, you must avoid evil thoughts, evil feelings, evil actions as much as you can. Entertain good thoughts, good feelings and perform good actions. That is the first step. We should always bear in mind that we are souls, the Atman. This Atman has put on a human personality with a view to playing a part in the cosmic drama of life. Whatever be the part that is assigned to us, that part has to be played well. That means we have to perform the duties of life and work in a spirit of detachment as a form of service to God. But mere moral practice and fulfillment of duties are not enough to purify the mind. We have to meditate on Him, pray to Him, who is the infinite source of purity, knowledge, devotion, compassion, love, and bliss. Our next point is the graded path. We must follow the right path. Suppose I get lost in the wilderness. If I follow the wrong path, what happens? I enter the wilderness more and more. If I follow the right path, I come out of it. I am reminded of a story. A motorist was driving at breakneck speed. He wanted to reach a certain place. He asked a schoolboy who had studied a little geography, "My son, if I go this way, shall I be able to reach the place?" "Yes, sir," said the boy. "You will reach it. How far is it this way?" asked the motorist. "Sir, you will have to go 25,000 miles, replied the boy. "If I go the other way, then only 2 miles, was the answer. Do you follow the idea? By the first path, you have to go round the world to reach the place. If you go the other way, just 2 miles. So also in spiritual life, through the cultivation of the proper mood, proper attitude, and by following the proper directions, you reach the goal soon, progress quicker. A tremendous change takes place within you. But do not try to quicken your steps too much. Go slow, but with determination along the right path. Gradually, you will reach the highest truth. In our spiritual practice, we must proceed step by step. First comes Prashima Puja, that is, worshipping the Lord with the help of a form, a symbol, a picture, or an idol. Next, the repetition of the Lord's name, thinking of Him and singing His glory. Later on, the mind gets a little absorbed. You feel the divine presence. That is dhyana, and dhyana in due course leads to the highest superconscious realization. In a parable of Sri Ramakrishna, a poor woodcutter is instructed to go forward step by step, from the sandalwood forest to the silver mine, from there to the gold mine, and finally to the diamond mine. Similarly, if we sincerely follow the spiritual path and begin from the beginning, we will reach the truth. But if we begin from the end, we will reach nowhere. Some people want to practice Advaita sadhana. I tell them, I know nothing about Advaita sadhana. Go to some other teacher. But if you want to begin from the beginning, I can tell you something of it. First of all, begin with the form aspect of the divine. I have Dehatma Buddhi, that is body consciousness. I feel I am an embodied being. I am a person amongst persons. How can I think of the infinite spirit? I cannot. So, let me begin with that body consciousness and try to see what lies ahead. Hanuman was asked by Sri Rama, how do you think of me? Hanuman said, O Lord, while I identify myself with my body, I am thy servant. When I consider myself an individual soul, I am thy part. And when I look upon myself as the spirit, I am one with thee. This is my firm conviction. So, let us begin from the beginning. Next point is a Guru essential? This is a question many people ask. They don't ask this question when they send their children to schools and colleges or to a music academy. The doubt about the need for a guru comes only when they start thinking about their spiritual life. As I said, many people are mere children when it comes to spiritual life. Age and physical growth alone are not enough. If there be some unique souls born with divine consciousness, who feel the divine presence even from their very childhood, they do not need a spiritual teacher, but all others do need one. Once a devotee asked my teacher Swami Brahmananda, Maharaj, is a guru necessary? The Swami smiled and said, my boy, one requires a teacher even when one wants to learn stealing. And this sublime Brahmavidya, the knowledge of Brahman, does it not require a teacher to acquire it? You know, even pickpockets have their gurus because they have to pass through a tremendous discipline and training, and this needs the guidance of a master pickpocket. In this connection, I wish to tell you an anecdote. Girish Chandra Ghosh, the famous writer and actor of Bengal, a great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, used to practice homeopathy in his old age. Taking the name of the master, he would give medicine. His tremendous intuition enabled him to achieve success in his way of treatment. One day, an elderly and very decent-looking gentleman was sitting by his side, when a young man came and said, Sir, I have lost my wristwatch on my way. The other gentleman became inquisitive and asked, When and where did you lose it? The young man said, Sir, I lost it at such and such an hour, at such and such a place. And the elderly man said, You will get it back. How could he give that assurance? Because the fine-looking gentleman was one of the leaders of pickpockets, one of their gurus. Let me give you another instance. You want to learn astronomy. You take a book and try to understand it, you get precious nothing. But the astronomer says something astounding. Every day you see the sun rising and setting, and here comes a man who says that the sun never rises, the sun never sets. It is all due to the movement of the earth. If we believe in our sense perception alone, we cannot grasp all this. But if we do not, we have to go to him, study under him, make experiments, and only then can we really convince ourselves that what we see with our eyes is an illusion and what the astronomer says is the truth. A spiritual teacher also comes and says something astounding. We are all conscious of our body. We think we are all men and women. But the spiritual teacher says that we are the spirit, distinct not only from the body, but also from the mind and the ego. But if you think, as many people do think, oh, he is a cheat, then Lord bless you. Instead of doubting your guru, you should doubt yourself. Am I this mass of flesh, this mass of filth? Or is there something living in me, something conscious, a soul in me? When you start thinking like that, your spiritual life begins. I go to a teacher who has been following the spiritual path all his life, has attained illumination, has come to possess great sympathy, love, compassion, and kindness. I sit at his feet, learn from him something of spiritual disciplines, and do my spiritual practices regularly. As my mind becomes purer and purer, I get something in the domain of the spirit, and my Ishta Devata becomes living for me. I feel within me a presence that permeates my being, which is also manifest in all beings. In the 7th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad, we come across a dialogue between two sages, Narada and Sanat Kumara. Saints and sages do not drop from the sky. They too are born as men. Saints are not born perfect. They have to manifest their perfection. Through sadhana, they unfold their divine potentiality. Narada had his period of true studentship, had studied all branches of learning, the scriptures, the sciences, and the arts. But having mastered these subjects, he found something was lacking in him. He discovered that he knew nothing about himself, his real nature. We are all quite content to read and know of the outer world, but neglect to know even a bit of ourselves. It is most unscientific. Eddington, the British astrophysicist, has said that to which truth matters must have a place in reality. Without some knowledge about the subject, education is incomplete. The world is full of half-educated people who do not know themselves, who do not know anything of the higher reality, but pose to be teachers or saviors of the world. Such persons are out to destroy the world. Now, let us come back to the Upanishadic anecdote. Sanat Kumara asked Narada to tell him about what he already knew. Narada gave a long list of subjects he had studied, including grammar, rituals, the Vedas, etc. And then he added, I am only a knower of verbal text, not a knower of the Atman. I have heard that one who knows the Atman goes beyond grief, but I have not realized the Atman, so I am in great sorrow. Sanat Kumara listened to him with infinite tenderness. He began to teach Narada about Brahman. First he said that speech was Brahman, that is, an aspect of the manifestation of Brahman. Higher than speech was mind, higher than mind was will, higher than that was mind stuff, still higher were meditation, intuition, the 5 elements, prana, and so on. The highest was bliss. After thus guiding the understanding of the disciple step by step, Sanat Kumara made a remarkable statement. That alone which is infinite is bliss. There is no bliss in the finite. Om Santi 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.